Order for Mobekai Edubuain, the court case now I deja Supreme Court no. Just this time round, dear, just a final ruling, final judgment on one face about Bituja. Mildred Donko, Tisiano, ya discharging order for. Breaking news ni nyina Bituja. Edubuain on Nakasane lawyers and on my babontin, on my betu minutu, Mildred Donko, or non so, the lawyer and so babontin, abetu minutu. Niama ekoso court or for Edubuain the trial no and that's the case no see no omudi esi ha ana say we just the beginning omo ba be boy ran seminimu na ma fifi mu yoro for case by case no Edubuain the trial no ekoso see no the lawyers ababontin ababetu minutu concerning senior case no ekoso far Amanfo bi mu a ya discharge omo in relation to Edubuain in the court case odofo me ma me ho empre me na me nka nsem ni nyina odofo mesra so begi mechi ne agbewura Edubuain ne nsem ne court nsem no Supreme Court na yembra gisia Ghanatube so.
Well, in other court matters tonight, counsel for embattled former Signals Bureau Director is displeased as co-accused person has now turned prosecution witness. We reported on Thursday, if you recall, that the Attorney General dropped all charges against Mildred Donko, a former director of Advantage Solutions, who is standing trial alongside Edubuain. Now, in court today, prosecution announced to the court its decision, but the defendant's lawyer took issues with the manner in which the co-accused person has been turned prosecution witness. Let's take a listen to Samuel Atacha.
I never knew that there's a lady who was capable of double standards. I never believed that somebody would say that, oh, my mouth is in another man's kitchen. But today, for the sake of my freedom, I'm going to betray that person. But what is she going to betray us with? That's the whole point of the matter. What does he know that if he should come into the public space, the case will go against us? We are not scared about it. But you see, the obvious lofty prostitution is what should worry the Attorney General. The Attorney General is comfortable with a woman who will speak with two mouths. We'll see how she will fare under cross-examination.
Oh, Edubuain's lawyer, Samuel Atacha, there. And, I pass no comments tonight, right? But I can also tell you the lawyer for the third accused person, Elikplim Agbamava, expressed satisfaction, contrary to what we've just seen, at the decision of the court rehashing Mildred's innocence. Take a listen.
Grateful to the court, for discharging my client. Generally, upon receiving a brief, I always believe that there was a total lack of mercy to commit a crime. So if you see, my client was not mentioned as being part of the crime of stealing. Her name only appears in count, I think 11 or 12 or so. 10, 11, yes. So it's pretty clear that in terms of the formation of whatever has gone wrong, she was not part of that conclave, to decide on anything.
Oh, we've got a bit more on this. Dennis is still here with me in the studio. He's a resident lawyer on Ghana Tonight. Dennis, much more happened in court today,
yes,
right?
Yes, precisely so.
So what else? What else is there to know apart from Mildred turning prosecution witness and Samuel Atacha?
It appeared as though counsel didn't see it coming.
He didn't. You can tell.
He seemed a bit disappointed in the turn of events.
Absolutely, and I don't mean that to be funny, but
it's part of the practice.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. But it's so obvious that he didn't see that coming at all, and he thinks that his first reaction to it, that he never knew that a woman could be two-faced. Oh no,
that's just by the way.
Just by the way.
Yes, we mentioned yesterday, as part of this processes, the stage at which these cases, at the last agenda date, the court was set to give a ruling on an application that the defense had made. And this is the context of this application. They had made an application urging the prosecution to give them further documents. That application was opposed by prosecution, and the court ruled and dismissed that application. So they made an appeal. Having filed the appeal, they came back to the trial court to tell the court that we have an appeal pending. For that reason, let's put the proceedings on hold so that we can pursue that appeal. So the court was set to rule on whether or not to grant that application for stay. So the first thing that the court did this morning, even before the discharge of Mildred, was to give its ruling on that matter. And that application was dismissed. What essentially means is that the trial would continue.
All right.
And just to put on record, this matter is at a stage where they are at trial. And in law, when we say they are at trial, it means that we've got to a point where we begin to adduce evidence. So prosecution has started putting their witnesses in the box, cross-examination has started. But yes, of course, after that one, then the Attorney General drew the court's attention to the fact that they had filed a notice of discontinuing case against the third accused person that was done. She was discharged, her name struck out of the suit, and then the trial continued. So it does appear that in the absence of anything coming up again, this case is progressing steadily. So in respect of this matter, this is what has happened.
Some progress.
Some progress has been made in respect of that.
Indeed. So then I know the trial has begun. When the next time they go to court, what is likely to happen? The
trial will continue because remember, prosecution has quite a number of witnesses. There are 4 witnesses. Yes, so they would have to put all those witnesses in the box, one after the other, and then the counsel on the other side would cross-examine them each time they put a witness in the box. We understand they are dealing with the second witness now. So the next agenda will be for trial to continue in respect of this particular matter.
I see. And then we also need to talk about another issue that took place in court today, because 2 former directors of the National Service Authority were a no-show in court during the arraignment today. Both former executive director of the authority, SUBCRIBE, and his deputy, Gift Mensah, are facing criminal charges, including stealing and causing financial loss to the state. Now, when the case was called, lawyer for SUBCRIBE explained notice of the hearing was received only an hour prior, and that his client was in Kumasi at the time of the hearing. Now, eventually, it was agreed that SUBCRIBE will present himself to NIB on Monday. Now, that brings us to Gift Mensah, because that one is really straightforward. She's sick and in hospital, which is why, through her lawyers, she presented to the court a medical excuse. Now, the parties will now return to court on Wednesday, October 22. But you've got some details. Yes. All right.
But that's just a summary of what happened in court today. Oh, we're looking forward to...
I took the wind out of your sail.
Yes, except to say that in one of the instances, the case has been adjourned indefinitely. That's because prosecution is expected to serve a hearing notice that they are unsure exactly when it will come on. But likely to come on within the week next week. But no specific date has been given by the court. But in respect of the second person, that's Gift Mensah, hers has been adjourned to October 22. And that's because they were able to show the court an excuse duty, to which prosecution had actually confirmed that yes, indeed, they are on notice that she's not well. So for that reason, they agreed that they take a date to come back on October 2 for that to happen. When they come back on October 2, and both accused persons are there, but mind you, they are tried separately. Yes, in different courts actually.
Right.
And this in itself is quite unique, because in
the same matter.
Yes, in previous instances we've seen that persons who are involved in the same thing, they are tried in but in this case they are tried in separate courts. So the attendance of one or the absence of one does not affects
the other.
Yes.
I wonder what the strategy is to try them separately, even though the crimes are very similar. And connected, so to speak.
Well, so that is for prosecution to explain. And usually, like we say, prosecution itself, they have a lot of discretion to do some of the things that they do. But when they are pushed to explain why they are doing this, I mean, there could be some justification for it. But in essence, this is what happened in court today. No show in respect of the National Service Authority scandal. The ghost names.
I mean, when you hear the excuse from SUBCRIBE's counsel that they had only received the notice of hearing an hour prior, I mean, under what circumstance does that happen?
Well, so ideally, you are required to get that charge sheet minimum 3 days, and that will suffice for service. However, when you serve shorter than that, we call it short service, for which reason you can raise issues. But what we do see in practice, is that more often than not, prosecution can call you and ask you to meet in court. They hand over the charge sheet to you, and then you take it from there.
Right.
I mean, I have experienced it personally. But where the service is so short that you cannot even call your client to show up, you can raise that as an issue. And the courts, more often than not, will grant you that opportunity to come on a different date. And to think that this person was not even within the jurisdiction at the time the court was called, I mean, the case was called, it was only fair that they would allow him to come on a different date. And that's how come prosecution has now been asked to serve the hearing notice on them so that they know exactly when they're coming to court.
Right, Dennis, thank you so much. Always a pleasure having you here with me in the studio. Give it up for our resident lawyer. Coming up, the newly unveiled United Party.
Order 4 when they breaking news about to drag a Dubai in the court case, any NSA. A National Service Authority for ghost names now. A quay de Jana Kupimo court no so updates in Yana Medina Brem Ghanatube to the former office of Belaki. No more subscribe no more share no more notification bell so I mind send a bear. Bring here be a dope content say who when you temper no what you need to for ha and I'm betting some Yabisi or Ghanatube so. Macramuna, Madame Nasi.